AHS.com or call 833-PLAN-AHS for this limited time offer.
Hello friends, Pat Boone here with a message from the past. Imagine the shock of reading tomorrow's newspaper and discovering the price of gold has doubled to over $1,000 an ounce. Sound impossible? Well, it's not. That's right. Back in 2006, my friends at Swiss America forecast gold prices would top $1,000 an ounce, and they were right. Today, several financial firms are forecasting $3,000 gold. Now, for over 40 years, Swiss America has helped folks like you and me purchase precious metals for home delivery and for our IRAs. So don't miss this opportunity again. Call or text Swiss America at the number on your screen now to receive your free portfolio review and a copy of The Timeless Truth About Gold and Silver. Learn for yourself how easy it is to safeguard your money. Call or text Swiss America today.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Stinchfield. I'm going to start off this evening by asking for prayers for President Trump. The left will stop at nothing in their quest to kill this man and ultimately stop him from retaking over the White House. It is unbelievable to me at the lengths they will go. I have never witnessed anything like this before in my life. In fact, when I heard it over the weekend that another shooter had attempted an assassination against President Trump, I thought, I'm shocked it took 2 months after the first one. So now we have the investigators investigating how this happened, but I'm very suspect about the investigators, and I'm suspect about their claims that the first claim is that this was an off-the-record movement of President Trump, meaning him going to the golf course, the Trump National Golf Course, was not a planned trip. That, to me, should not be an excuse. Listen to the acting director of the Secret Service.
This was an off-the-record movement. It wasn't a site that was on his scheduled. It wasn't part of his schedule. So there was no posting up of it because he wasn't supposed to have gone there in the first place.
Wasn't supposed to have gone there? Now, here's the thing. Anybody that has been in and around Mar-a-Lago near President Trump knows that if he's in town, he's normally golfing every morning. And so there's only a few things that could have happened here in order for the suspect to know that he was going golfing. And first and foremost, I would say it's pretty easy. If you hang out on that causeway, you can watch the backside of Mar-a-Lago and you will see the president's motorcade pass right on by. And if it's early in the morning, as someone who has stayed around Mar-a-Lago a lot, it is usually President Trump heading off to his golf course. Doesn't take a seasoned assassin to figure all of this out. So now DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is calling for his own investigation into this for good reason. Listen to the governor.
We're going to be doing a state-level investigation. I understand that the feds are involved, but we do believe that there were multiple violations of state law. We also believe that there's a need to make sure that the truth about all this comes out in a way, that's credible. I mean, I look at the federal government with all due respect to them. Those same agencies that are prosecuting Trump in that jurisdiction are now going to be investigating this. I just think that may not be the best thing for this country.
You know where I come from? When you say all due respect, you better duck, because here comes a blow. And that was a blow that Ron DeSantis was offering up. How do you have the same group of devious deep state insiders investigating the assassination attempts against President Trump when these are the same very people that are investigating President Trump himself on bogus crimes. So I'm glad Ron DeSantis is going to conduct his own investigation. Maybe just him trying to save his hide after running against President Trump. Either way, it doesn't really matter to me. Then you have the Martin County Sheriff, who literally brings up what we all are thinking. You want to call it conspiracy, you want to call it out there, I don't care what you call it, but we have reason to think like this. Could it possibly be an inside job?
How does a guy from not here get all the way to Trump International, realize that the president, former president of the United States, is golfing and is able to get a rifle in that vicinity? I think that's the question the FBI, the Secret Service are laser focused on today. Is this guy part of a conspiracy? Is he a lone gunman? If he's a lone gunman, President Trump is that much safer because we have him. But if he's part of a conspiracy, then this whole thing really takes on a very ominous tone.
Ominous, to say the least. I am convinced the deep state wants President Trump dead. Whether these assassins were working for them or not, I have no earthly idea, quite frankly. Would it surprise me? Absolutely not. Because what President Trump is poised to do in Washington, again, is to upend the entire system, and they just can't have it. These overlords in Washington and the minions who pull their strings, these career bureaucrats, they'll do anything they can to stop President Trump. So I don't know when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I hope we get to the bottom of it. So I understand where Ron DeSantis is coming from. I understand where that sheriff is coming from. But how did we get here? Much of the reason why people are doing this, animals are trying to kill President Trump, is because of the rhetoric of the left, not the rhetoric of the right. They have been calling for violence against President Trump for the last decade or so. And now, just one day before the attempt, on Saturday, I want you to listen to Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Listen to what she has the audacity to say.
We swore in, finally, in January, that we swore to defend against those that are coming against us, whether they are domestic or international. And right now, I feel like MAGA in general, they are threats to us domestically. And we see it time and time again. And I think that's why you see so many national leaders, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, coming together to say there is only one person qualified to be the commander in chief.
MAGA is a threat? A national threat? MAGA, what is she calling for? And then the next day, we get a left-wing lunatic, this guy Ruth, who apparently had donated so many times to Democrats, who literally was going to recruit Afghani soldiers to fight for Ukraine, who on his social media had said over and over again that President Trump is a threat to democracy. Now, you don't just come up with that line. Who's been claiming that President Trump is a threat to democracy over and over again? Well, of course, Democrat leaders have. So this is after the President Trump second assassination attempt, hours after. Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill basically blames President Trump for it all. It's his fault. They victim shame him.
This really seems to be the confluence of two very bad things going on in the Republican Party. On one side, the attempts to divide, to enrage the population, to put out false rumors and misinformation. And then on the other side, we have this complete availability of assault rifles, too.
Wait a second. So it's Republican rhetoric that caused someone to go out and try to kill President Trump now twice? It's because we embrace the idea of the Second Amendment that the left uses guns to try to kill President Trump? None of that makes any sense. But you see what they try to do there, and it really is victim shaming. They're going after President Trump and blaming everything on him, which is what they always do. We talked about this whole idea of a threat to democracy, a threat to democracy. They're the ones that embolden these killers to act. Watch this history of egging people on to take out President Trump.
Trump is a existential, urgent threat to our democracy.
I mean, everything he does is despicable.
His supporters are just as despicable.
That man cannot see public office again. He is destructive to our democracy, and he has to be eliminated.
Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy and our most fundamental freedoms.
Look, are they a threat to democracy? Yes. Are they going to take our rights away? Yes. Are they going to put people's lives in danger? Yes. Are they going to endanger the planet by not dealing with climate change? Yes.
Donald Trump presents a challenge and a threat fundamentally to the republic.
I will ask you this question, and I mean it seriously. What party has been the real threat to not just democracy, not just freedom, but our safety and security in America? There is only one party that has threatened that, and that has been the Democrat Party. The violence we have seen from the Black Lives Matter movement, from Antifa, the violence we have seen against 2 times now, President Trump has almost been assassinated. And then, of course, what about the attack on Republican lawmakers where Steve Scalise was so severely injured? And yet, somehow Republicans and President Trump are the existential threat, the only people engaging and egging on violence in America today, taking away our freedoms, trying to move us in the direction of communism, where a dictatorship would rule over us with their hands around our throats, is the Democrat Party today. So what about the investigation? Where does it go here? Can we trust the FBI to lead on this investigation? Joining me now, a former FBI agent himself, known for his whistleblowing on the agency, the host of The Morning Post on X, Steve Friend, is with us. Steve, it is great to see you.
Thanks for having me tonight.
All right. Can we trust the FBI to investigate this?
No, you absolutely cannot. And you referenced the congressional baseball shooting in 2017 when a Bernie Sanders supporter arrived at the baseball field, asked where are the Republicans, was directed to the field, showed up, and then just started to try to execute about a tenth of the Republican caucus from Congress. And the FBI was then summoned in after he was subdued by Capitol Police, because thankfully Steve Scalise had his protection detail there that day. And the FBI ruled that that was not an assassination attempt. That was actually suicide by cop. Now, we can flash forward 7 years where the FBI Miami field office will be taking the lead on this investigation, and they are overseen by Jeffrey Veltri. He's a special agent in charge. He's the man who you saw at the press conference today. And what you have to know about Jeffrey Veltri was he took that position to be special agent in charge from his prior position as the assistant director at Security Division, where he tried to purge FBI whistleblowers because he thought anyone with a military background or someone who attended church regularly should be purged from the FBI. And then when he was promoted, he was told by Christopher Wray and Paula Bate, deputy director, that he needed to purge his Facebook account of all of the anti-Trump vitriol that he had posted there so haphazardly. So that's the person who is in charge of this investigation. So I think we can be reliably informed that nothing will come out of this as long as he's at the helm.
All right, so that is clearly troubling, and it doesn't surprise me. I'm sure we could find people like that at probably every FBI office, every government office across the country. The sad reality is they just don't like Republicans and President Trump, many people that are, I would call, career bureaucrats, members of the ruling class, this so-called deep state. The question then becomes, and I think what is on everybody's mind, is what the sheriff alluded to, and really what Ron DeSantis is alluding to by not trusting the government to investigate. Because those two people brought it up, I don't like to throw around conspiracy theories. You know, I'm still an old-fashioned newsman, even though I'm a conservative talk show host now. So I'll ask this to you this way, Steve. As an investigator, do you look into the possibility of an inside job here on both of these occasions? Because a lot of things don't add up with how they got to where they were, these shooters, and how they figured out how to do this. Is that an avenue for the investigation?
It absolutely should be, because you don't want to go into any investigation with blinders on. You don't assume facts, not in evidence. You have to disprove those sorts of things. And particularly with this most recent, the second assassination attempt, I'm trying to square the circle. You have a guy here who has camped out for 12 hours at the golf course that Donald Trump regularly attends. So is this a security failure where they haven't hardened that golf course because he's there pretty consistently? You would think with almost 10 years of Secret Service protection, they might harden that. They might have more regular security sweeps. Or was there some sort of operational security failure where that information was leaked out? Was that by negligence? Was that by nefariousness? There was actually a complicit party here? It doesn't stand to reason to me that this person just happened to know that Donald Trump was going to be there when it was not on his schedule, which then you have to assume that he's there every single day waiting and hasn't been caught by a security sweep, or he knew ahead of time. And again, is that negligent? Or is that them being complicit in it? The answers to that are not good at any point, but they should be investigated fully. And I'm grateful that my governor, Ron DeSantis, is pushing a state investigation here. And hopefully he'll get some partnership from the House of Representatives with the upcoming budget fight. And they can say, look, FBI, we will fund you, but it's going to be contingent on you cooperating fully with Florida law enforcement because we don't trust you.
You know, surrounding this golf course are, of course, roads that go all the way around. Apparently, he was parked there in his black Nissan for 12 hours, hanging out there. You would think that when you know the president's coming, you would have patrols maybe even circling. I get you can't post up a cop on every fence line everywhere, but if you had somebody circling, you would notice there's an odd black Nissan parked there for 12 hours now, wouldn't you?
Well, again, this is Donald Trump's regular home golf course. So it's not like the advance team or anyone on the security detail was unfamiliar with those grounds. And how could they be expected to actually provide security? And you can't tell me that for a minute the Secret Service would just defer to former President Trump by saying, oh, you know, I was going to go get breakfast over at Dunkin' Donuts, but I think I'm going to go hit the links. That requires a logistics, just simply like having a bag of golf clubs with you and a change of clothes. Like those are sorts of things that get planned out and have to be put in. They were not caught by surprise. And that by the acting director is complete hogwash.
Yeah. Look, I'll say the advance movement of the Secret Service sweeping a hole ahead of where President Trump was going worked here and it stopped the threat. My belief, though, is in the end, that threat never should have gotten there in the first place. That was the first failure. And maybe they got a little lucky that this guy was not successful being as far away as he was. Let me play one clip from you. This is the Newsweek interview from the suspect. Just some quick thoughts of yours on the suspect from your FBI background. Roll it.
We're all one unit, and we have to get along and work together and be normal human beings. This is 2022. We have to work together. It seems asinine that we have a leader in a country that does not understand the concept of being unselfish and being generous and being kind and just the basic moral values that are required by human beings these days. It blows my mind.
That's interesting. He said it's 2022, and he said we have a leader doing those things. That, I would assume, would be Joe Biden that he's talking about there. Yet all of the rhetoric on his Facebook page is anti-Trump, anti-Republican, and I don't know what's going on here, but there's a lot of misdirection, it seems, in my book.
It seems to me that Donald Trump probably lives rent-free in that man's head, and he just presumes that he is leading, even though he's a private citizen at this point. And any sort of argument that could be made from either media or government that this was not a politically charged assassination attempt is just bull. It's bull. I mean, the guy's been public about where he stands on things, and if they're going to argue that this was just a confused individual, good luck with that argument, because I'm not going to ignore my lying eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And it all is all right there on his Facebook page to see before they took it all down, of course. Former FBI agent, it's great to see you. Host of The Morning Post on X, Steve Friend. Thank you. Always appreciate your insight, buddy.
Thank you, Grant.
Absolutely. All right. So they did release body cam footage today of the suspect taken into custody. Roll it. not a tremendous amount to see there, but in court, he was actually smiling his way before he accepted the charges against him, not taking a plea or entering a plea in any way, but he did stand there as the charges against him were read, and apparently he was smiling the entire time. I want to bring in now former Trump campaign senior advisor, political strategist, and founder of Proactive Communications. Mark Serrano is back with us. Mark, thanks for coming on tonight.
Hi, Greg. Good evening.
Mark, I would imagine you're like me. No surprise someone's going to try to kill him again. I'm sure. I hate to say this, but I'm sure we'll see a third time on this. They want this man dead probably more than any other man that has led America in the past.
Indeed, Grant. I mean, look at the questions we were asking ourselves July 14th and 15th. Will this happen again? Will there be a proper investigation? We know the answers. We know there's not going to be a proper federal investigation because of the complicity of the Department of Justice in these attempted assassinations on Trump. The would-be assassin is clearly a pro-war globalist who took his cue from Democrat Party leaders, including Joe Biden, who said it's time to put Donald Trump in a bullseye, and Kamala Harris, who has said, as you showed the clip, that Donald Trump represents a threat to democracy. You know, the University of Chicago conducted a poll of 2,000 people, and can you believe that 10% of those people stated that they believe that using violence to prevent Donald Trump from becoming president again is justified? 10% believe that using violence to block Donald Trump is justified. This would-be assassin took his cue from Democrat Party leaders who give a wink and a nod because that's how much of a threat Donald Trump is to them. He's not a threat to democracy. He's a threat to the Democrats' power. And unfortunately, the Democrats are a threat to Donald Trump's life.
Yeah, they sure are. And they often do it smiling and joking, which I think pushes these crazy lunatics even further, thinking it's okay to do this. Let me run a clip for you of Kamala Harris. This is a flashback with her with Ellen DeGeneres, basically laughing and joking about killing President Trump.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
Not funny at all. And now we have two assassination attempts against President Trump. And I think both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, their responses to all of this was lackluster at best to me.
Right. And look, let's just be grateful to the eyewitness who saw something and said something that led to the capture of the would-be assassin. Let's thank goodness for President Trump's detail, who acted with professionalism and got the job done. I had the chance to be backstage at a Trump fundraiser in Salt Lake City on Saturday and was chatting with some of them and engaged with some of them. These guys are absolutely dedicated to protecting Donald Trump. It's their bosses in Washington who represent a national disgrace. At this point, after the second attempt, Grant, this is a national emergency. And yet we can't trust any of them with an investigation. And my hat's off to Ron DeSantis for taking the lead on an investigation at the state level. I think we'll get a lot more answers that way. But looking ahead, Grant, it is clear to me that this will not stop until Donald Trump, unfortunately, and God forbid this happen, until Donald Trump is stopped physically. Yeah. And what's the answer? Honestly, I think we need another level of security around Donald Trump. I don't know that we can trust anybody. Certainly, Martin County, Florida, thank goodness for them. They acted with professionalism. But I think it's time for a major donor in America who's already given graciously to the president to step up and finance private contractors to provide a whole new level of security to work with Secret Service, just like Donald Trump's Trump Tower security worked with them back in 2015 and 2016. Unless we get some change of some sort that doesn't rely on the Department of Justice or the FBI, because the FBI answers to Merrick Garland, the U.S. Secret Service answers to Mayorkas, and unfortunately, their leadership cannot be trusted. We need a new layer of security.
Yeah. I had said after the first attempt on President Trump's life that President Trump needed to call everybody in. He needed to get just a few people around him that he can trust, revet every single person, and find even new people to come in and lead this. Maybe it's a guy like Eric Prince from Blackwater. Maybe it's other contractors that go overseas and protect American assets over there. But I'm with you, Mark Serrano. I think something needs to be done because I just don't trust anybody inside government anymore. I appreciate you coming on tonight. As always, I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Well, and I'll tell you, Grant, Eric and I do a show called Off Leash on YouTube to talk about issues like this. I hope people can check it out. But thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And he'd be a great one for sure. Listen to me, folks. I want you to think about protecting your finances with gold today. I want you to think about protecting your retirement assets with gold today. With all the chaos we're seeing in the world, I will tell you that gold has stood the test of time as a hedge against all of this chaos. You can do this by getting with our friends at Birch Gold by texting America to the number 989898. They'll get right back to you. They're professionals. They'll talk to you about how much is right for you. They'll come up with the exact plan for you that will make sure that you have the steps in place and process in place and protection in place to make sure that nest egg you work so hard for is preserved. So again, get in touch with Birch Gold by texting America to the number 989898. All right, coming up next, this is very big, folks. No one is talking about this, but Elon Musk's moves to Texas with X, Twitter, should throw back the curtain of bad actors behind censorship. We'll tell you how he and the Attorney General in the state of Texas could throw back that curtain next.
Force Factor Total Beets is the #1 beets brand in America. That's why friends and family recommend Total Beets. Now you can find Total Beets blood pressure chews at Walmart, so you can boost nitric oxide, support blood pressure, and improve heart health. Rush to Walmart and find Total Beets.
The race for president is on, and my team at the Kids Guide wants to hear who you think we should elect to the White House. Visit ChooseMyPresident.com and cast your ballot. Remember, visit ChooseMyPresident.com to cast your vote.
Prices are going up everywhere. Did you know that the costs associated with auto repairs cost Americans on average $7,500? And let's face it, when it comes to those costs, it's not if you'll need repairs, it's when. Now more than ever, you can't afford to be driving without Ox Car Care. Because with A+ rated Ox, you don't pay for repairs on your car, truck, or SUV. Ox pays.
I really love Ox Car Care because right now I can't afford the costly repairs, and I definitely cannot afford to be without a car.
With Ox, I can take my car to my dealership just like I always have, and they'll take care of everything.
Call the number on your screen right now for a free quote. There's no obligation to find out how low your monthly payments can be. Our Ox Car Care family of customer service reps, coverage specialists, and claims adjusters are all under one roof right here in the U.S. to ensure you always get top quality service from a caring company that stands behind everything we do. And we are the administrators of your claim. We don't farm out your policies somewhere else.
In the past, I had a really bad experience. I was passed around from phone number to phone number just to file a claim. But with Ox, it's just one phone call, one company, and they handle everything.
Call Ox now and let them pay for your auto repairs. Act now, and Ox will even include free oil changes, free tire rotation, and free roadside assistance.
Ox Car Care is like family. I didn't just feel like a customer, I also felt part of the family.
Just call Ox Car Care now with your make and model and get a free, no-obligation instant quote. Ox Car Care even comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. But don't wait, or it'll be too late. You need coverage before a repair is needed. Call Ox Car Care right now, and your coverage can start as soon as today.
Call 1-800-691-0754 to get a free quote today. That's 1-800-691-0754. Get covered today.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable and inconvenient, but with a Gettr home standby generator, your life goes on uninterrupted because you'll have power when you need it the most.
The #1 thing to prepare for is extended power outages. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Gettr home standby generator.
And special financing and low monthly payment options are available. Call or go online now to request your free quote. Power your life with Gettr.
Welcome back, everyone. So it is official. X, formerly known as Twitter, has closed up shop in California, and they have now moved their headquarters to Austin, Texas. Now, what does this mean? We know that when Twitter was under the old hands, before Elon Musk came in, that Twitter just may have been the mastermind of the censorship behind all of the social media conglomerates between Facebook and Instagram and X and YouTube, Google, all of them. Because a gentleman by the name of Jim Baker, the former acting attorney for the FBI, was now the general counsel for Twitter at the time, was supposed to be the orchestrator of all of this. So what can we do in Texas? What can the Attorney General do in Texas? What can the state Senate in Texas do to get to the bottom that they didn't do in California? I want to bring in now retired Green Beret lieutenant. He's an attorney, worked in the Defense Intelligence Agency as well. Lieutenant Colonel Ivan Raiklin is with us. Colonel, it's great to have you back on.
Hey, good to be back on. Absolutely. Thanks, Grant. Yeah, I'm actually right outside. You can see in the background where I'm located. I'm in Texas, right outside Hyperloop Plaza, which is where most of Elon's holdings are here in Texas.
So tell me, Ivan, that what you were explaining to me about how the Attorney General will now have greater latitude, or at least have the political fortitude, to use subpoena power, other investigative tools that may give Elon Musk some political cover in all of this. Explain what you're looking for here.
Absolutely. So here's the legal theory, is that the Attorney General has the ability to do what's known as civil investigation, kind of CIDs is what they call them. He has no jurisdiction over criminal. That's within the purview of the district attorney. So the district attorney here in Bastrop County, where I'm standing, has criminal jurisdiction. Remember back in December of 2022, Elon tweeted that Twitter is not only a social media company, but a crime scene. Well, that crime scene is now registered as a business in Texas, in Bastrop County, apparently. We're still looking at the business records to see exactly if that's the case, but definitely in Texas. And so there's a couple of options here. The district attorney can then be looking, or I guess Elon and his legal team can go ahead and provide that criminal evidence to the local DA from actions that were taking place on behalf of Twitter 1.0 employees, namely Jim Baker, you said, who previously was the FBI general counsel during the time when the illegal spying operation was taking place on General Flynn, Carter Page, and candidate Trump at the time. And he was also involved in the authorizing the Mueller cover-up crew so that wouldn't be exposed, the original illegal spying. From 2014 to 18 is when Jim Baker was there. And then he became the deputy general counsel at Twitter. So now that the company is now based in Texas, the attorney general has jurisdiction over now in a much more substantive way to protect the rights of Texas citizens, their First Amendment, so civil claims, if you will, and also content creators and influencers such as yourself that are Texas residents. If there was any censorship that took place by Twitter on you, then I would say that there's a significant legal course of action that is still kind of developing depending on what is found in those Twitter holdings. I shorthand coin it as the mother of all Twitter files, because the Twitter files prior to today, those were before Elon endorsed President Trump and before he came to Texas. So now he's in a much more safe political posture and a much more kind of leaning forward posture since he's endorsing Trump, to then start to work with the Attorney General, start to work with the state Senate Chairman Brian Hughes, who chairs the committee in the Senate that has oversight over this particular matter, to then kind of let your creative juices start flowing to apply the maximum amount of legal, moral, and ethical pressure to release this evidence to the public.
All right, here's the good news. In Bastrop County, I believe that is a conservative county, so you'd have a conservative district attorney. Unlike California, the problem we had in California is the state isn't going to investigate Twitter 1.0. The district attorneys, because they're all on their side. They wanted the cover up. They wanted conservatives to be censored.
I think it's Brian
But the Attorney
Gertz.
General well, one second, Ivan, because the Attorney General in Texas most certainly can investigate crimes. Many attorneys general in other states cannot. In Texas, the Attorney General can investigate crime, and I think there's a lot of crimes
correct.
here.
I was on a call with sorry for the background because I'm here on the road.
I don't want to argue about what he can and can't.
Not based on my conversations yesterday with
whoever you were talking to is wrong. Okay, so we don't need to argue about that between you and me. They're wrong. The Attorney General can look at crimes. They've taken away his ability to investigate election fraud and crimes in this state. The Court of Appeals took that away from him. He most certainly has the ability, so whoever told you that is mistaken. Beyond that, though, we've got cell phone data. We've got electronic communications that maybe, was it privacy concerns? Elon couldn't release these things, but if this stuff is subpoenaed, he most certainly could. Is that where the political cover comes in?
Yeah, I think Elon provides the public cover for Attorney General, and the Attorney General and the state senator, Brian Hughes, provides that kind of governmental cover for Elon Musk. So whatever can't be released publicly can then be subpoenaed privately as the investigations continue. Because remember, Attorney General Ken Paxton's office is conducting actually investigations and litigation as it applies to certain aspects of that censorship regime, going after the COVID culprits, whether it's Big Pharma or whether it was other players like Facebook, right, with that settlement.
What effect then, Ivan, and this really is a brilliant idea you've come up with, you've plotted this out, now we just have to institute it. We got to get AG Paxton and we got to get the Senator Brian Hughes would be very helpful on all of this. Does this help President Trump moving forward to November 2024? Could it have any effect on the election?
Oh, it has massive impact on the election. So if Elon Musk has a meeting with Attorney General Ken Paxton, say this week, and they decide to kind of put out this information, it will educate the entire nation through X and other platforms what actually occurred with substantive evidence behind it of the criminal conspiracies and civil rights violations over the course of the last 6 to 8 years of which Jim Baker was involved. And it's not only a theory at this point, it's literally evidence, their communications conducting it, all the deep state players, right? And that will inform the independent early voter. Today, early voting starts in Pennsylvania. So as it starts to trickle out, and as not only Jim Baker's communications are put out there on blast, but you got to remember that former employees of Kamala Harris's team when she was a senator, et cetera, were also employees of Twitter 1.0. So it'd be interesting to see what sort of trove of evidence comes out of those communications as we start to kind of amplify that and show America who these people are, these being the Harris, the Biden criminal syndicate, and those around them. It will have a massive impact. And if you're Elon Musk and you endorse someone, don't you want to do everything in your power, legally, morally, and ethically, to make sure that the broader American electorate has all the evidence needed to make an informed decision on who the next president is going to be? I sure think so.
And what's interesting is Elon Musk is so smart that he may already be thinking about things like this. This is maybe one of the reasons why he moved headquarters to Texas, because he'd have some political cover there. But it's a fascinating plan, and we'll do everything we can to keep pushing it. Any updates you get on it, please send them my way, and I'll be pushing it out to everybody I can that is close to those individuals that you mentioned. Ivan Raiklan, it's great having you on the program. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Can I say one more thing, Grant, real quick? If that's all right. So as it applies to the assassination attempt, if anybody's listening in the Trump orbit, my recommendation would be for him to bring in the adults in the room, which would be Eric Prince and General Flynn need to be by his side at every single meeting moving forward to inform him and his entire staff.
Well, guess what? Not 5 minutes ago, your buddy right here said that exact thing. Bring Eric Prince in and get some extra detail on there. So we think alike, my man. We think alike. Thank you for coming on, as always.
I appreciate you.
All right. You got it. All right, folks, listen to me. That's a big investigation. I'm going to get it in front of Ken Paxton and Brian Hughes as well, and we'll keep updating you on that to open and peel back the curtain of Twitter, okay? X now. All right, Americans are tired and frustrated by a stalling economy, inflation, endless wars, and the relentless assault on the values that made America great. Thankfully, there's companies like Patriot Mobile that still believe in America and our Constitution. I have a Patriot Mobile phone. I love it. Patriot Mobile is a proud supporter of this show, and I'm proud to partner with them. They're on the front lines fighting for the First and Second Amendments, all of them, in fact, the sanctity of life, supporting our military and our first responders. Their 100% U.S.-based customer service team will help you find the best plan for your needs. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade, whatever you need. They can get you taken care of, okay? Just go to patriotmobile.com/RAV. patriotmobile.com/RAV. Get a free month when you use the promo code RAV, or just call them at 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT, and you tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right, moving on, we are going to talk next about Tren de Aragua, that terrorist organization. Well, the governor of Texas has some plans for them. That's next.
This is our last chance to help save thousands of Holocaust survivors who are suffering in the former Soviet Union today. The needs that these forgotten Jews have are something beyond anything you can imagine.
Have you eaten this morning?
I ate the carrot, so I ate half of it yesterday, and I had it today for breakfast. And this is what she ate in 2 days, 1 carrot. Please pray for me.
The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews began this ministry to help elderly Jews living in horrible poverty around the world. We urgently need your gift of $25 now to help provide 1 survival food box with all of the foods they critically need for their diet for 1 month.
It breaks my heart to know that there are Holocaust survivors who suffer to this very day. It's not only the painful memories of lost loved ones, but now with pensions of less than $2 per day, they live in some of the poorest conditions imaginable.
I believe in God, but I sometimes feel maybe He forgot me. Perhaps you could tell my story, and I would find a matching soul that would understand. I face hunger again.
Please don't delay. Call, scan, or go online now to help rush 1 survival food box to a Holocaust survivor who is suffering and in desperate need.
This is what God wants from us. Just feed the hungry.
If you hear God's voice, I'm asking you to act now. Do it when it's on your heart. I pray that they'll know in their final months that they're not alone.
It's the incredible Red Dog, the amazing universal socket tool that fits, grips, and tightens virtually any fastener. Look at all the different sizes and shapes, nuts, bolts, and screws. Any head will do. Red Dog grabs on tight and locks into place fast. It replaces hundreds of different tools, yet it's smaller than a battery. 54 telescoping steel pins mold around any object. Then, up to 150 pounds of torque knock out rusted fasteners. You can get Red Dog for just $19.99. Breaking news: Red Dog may be discontinued. Due to supply chain shortages, Red Dog is stopping manufacturing immediately. There's a strict limit of 3 per order while supplies last. Order now.
Call 1-800-709-3169. That's 1-800-709-3169, or visit byreddog.com. Call 1-800-709-3169 now.
Welcome back, everyone. Governor Abbott taking the fight to Tren de Agua.
Also today, I am officially declaring TDA a foreign terrorist organization. We will bring the full weight of the government against the TDA. By declaring TDA a foreign terrorist organization, Texas will use the courts to halt their operations.
He also wants a law that will make Tren de Agua a game that he describes as MS-13 on steroids, that if you traffic people into the state of Texas, you will be facing 10 years in prison. This is the kind of thing that other states need to do. TDA is going to get the message, don't mess with Texas and don't come in here. I want to show you some video that caught my eye because the gentleman in this video sent it to me. It was him being censored on the Fox Nation Weather Channel, whatever that weather channel is that Fox has. This is Eric Seidel. You might remember him from the Weather Channel. Apparently, Eric Seidel is a liberal, I would assume. Watch this.
Storm specialist Mike Seidel joins us live in Morgan City. We'll have to watch, talking about being in that cone and in that path, Mike. Morgan City right now is right in the middle. Not to fixate on that, but perhaps we see some of the worst impacts there later this afternoon.
Well, we're going to have to throw it back to the studio.
What's going on? We have Mike Seidel.
I mean, what is that about? Because the guy's running with the Trump flag during a hurricane, you throw it back to the studio? First off, I used to chase weather. Remember, I used to be in the mainstream media. That's fun. Even if it was a guy with a Biden flag, who cares? That's what people are tuning into you for, you big liberal idiot. I got to imagine he's a liberal. The only guy would do that has to be a liberal. Well, the gentleman who sent me that was the crazy Cajun from Louisiana who was running with that flag in the rain. He is the flag guy censored on Fox. Rich Rogers is with us. Rich, welcome to the program.
How's it going, Grant? Thanks for having me on.
Buddy, I loved when you sent me this. I saw it. I reached right out to you. I said, I got to have you on the show. Were you being disrespectful? Were you ruining this whole thing, or was that just a flyby?
It was just a flyby, Grant. I'm a big-hearted guy. I like having a good time. We're some crazy Cajuns down here. During hurricane weather, we do crazy things. And I said, what better way to support my president, the J6ers, Steve Bannon, is to get my butt out there. And I ran with everything I got. I'm a big guy. I put on some weight. I was really worried about biting concrete, but I'll do anything for President Trump and for those people that are suffering under these liberals, man. Liberals are always trying to cover some up. You notice that? Always trying to cover something up.
They really are. So this video we're watching here, that's you during the hurricane as well that moved through, I guess, Houston area and into Louisiana.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I think it's great. I've seen these videos on Instagram before. Now, how did you learn that Seidel puts his hand over the camera and doesn't let everybody see you?
Well, I had no idea. I just ran by just for the fun of it. I didn't really realize it was Mike Seidel. I got home and a neighbor was like, oh, goodness, it's going viral now. And right when she said that, the lights went out for 3 days. And I popped my phone open the other day when we got lights. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So I had no idea he put his hand over the camera. I was like, geez, I wasn't expecting that. But true colors were shown.
Here's how I know it went viral, Rich. My very special lady friend, she said, who are you having on the show tonight? I said, I'm having this guy who ran by one of the old Weather Channel guys, wherever. She says, oh, I saw that video. That's everywhere. And it really is everywhere. And I think people are mad. Why do you think it resonated with people?
You know why, Grant? I'll tell you. I wear this hat every day. I'm getting a bald spot because of it. But we've been silenced for so long. I mean, I think the liberals have mistaken our kindness for weakness. We're really trying to keep it classy. We see what's going on the other side. We know what we support. We know what we believe in. And, they're just triggered by hats and flags and this and that, the vitriol they spit. I've been tired of it. I'm going to wear this hat. I'm going to fly my flag. And every single American ought to do the same. We've been silent for, 8 years or more now? Get out there, put the hat on, put the flags on. Don't be afraid anymore. There are more of us than there are them. I've about had it.
Amen to that. Rich Rogers, I'm telling you, by you wearing that hat, you give other people strength to show that it's okay that you wear that hat. And
sure.
Look, I love the video, and in many respects, maybe he did us a favor by covering it up because it got you an awful lot of publicity to talk about this very thing, and it's an important topic to talk about.
It
Rich
really
Rogers,
encapsulates everything that's going on right now. We love you, President Trump. We're praying for you. Steve, J6ers, God's in control. Give it all to him. We'll weather the storm together.
He sure is. And if you're on Instagram, pay Rich a visit at Patriot Flag Guy. Rich, the Crazy Cajun, I appreciate you coming on, buddy. Stay in touch.
Thanks, Grant. Thanks for all you do, Grant.
Absolutely, buddy. Let's just show it one more time. Show the video of him running and getting censored because it's worth showing.
Joins us live in Morgan City. We'll have to watch, talking about being in that cone and in that path, Mike. Morgan City right now is right in the middle. Not to fixate on that, but perhaps we see some of the worst impacts there later this afternoon. Well,
We're going to have to throw it back to the studio.
What's going on? We have Mike Seidel.
He's got some speed to him, too. Man, it's great. Seidel, come on, man. Have a sense of humor. Don't let politics get in the way. You exposed yourself there. You really did. And it doesn't look good. Fox, it doesn't look good for you either that he did that. All right, folks, recently I met with John Jubilee of Energized Health. He shared with me their breakthrough science of intercellular hydration. The results, people lose fat fast while still being able to eat many of the foods they love. I'll share updates with you during my 88 days on the program. In my first, well, it's almost 2 months now. I've lost 15 pounds, whole and steady, feeling great, energy, you name it. But don't just take my word for it. Go to my555challenge.com. Check out hundreds of amazing testimonials. My555challenge.com. Energized Health offers a 100% money-back guarantee. They're A+ rated and have helped thousands over 20 years. So go to my555challenge.com. It starts today, by the way, with a live event. Go to that website. I promise you, you will be grateful you did. Take your life back. Watch the masterclass there. It's free. It'll give you all the details. My555challenge.com. I'm so grateful that I got involved with Energized Health and feeling better than I ever have. All right, folks. You there, teleprompter person? Can you roll through? There you go. J.D. Vance has some fantastic remarks for Dana Bash, who rudely attacked him. Stick around to see.
You work hard. You deserve a mobile bank that will go to work for you. With up to $200 in overdraft protection and early paydays, GoToBank, the mobile bank that works for you. Open an account at gotobank.com.
Hello, Americans. Pat Boone here. You know, the markets are getting a little crazy, and now is the time to protect yourself from economic turmoil. Silver is in the headlines and creating a lot of excitement as the price of silver is very attractive compared to that of gold, of course. Call Swiss America for the scoop on whether this silver opportunity is for real. See, today, silver faces a huge shortage due to rising demand by military, solar, and electric cars, which all depend on silver and can increase prices. So, to help you get started, Swiss America is offering beautiful United States walking Liberty half dollars, minted from 1916 to 1947, in 90% silver for a special introductory price. Limit of $250 per customer while supplies last, of course. So call or text the number on your screen to take advantage of this offer. Rediscover silver today.
At a time when big tech is suppressing free speech, there's a place where your voice matters. A place where freedom of expression is cherished and the love of our great country unites us. Welcome to True Social. Here you're not just another user, you're part of a movement that embraces freedom and celebrates the American way of life. Join a platform that passionately defends our great nation while delivering breaking news, discussion, and original content. Because here at True Social, we believe in the power of our voices, the strength of our unity, and the promise of our country's future.
No task too great. We are Americans, and the future belongs to us. The future belongs to all of you.
Join the conversation. Join the movement. Join True Social, where freedom lives.
Are you over 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Call now and get this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers, from a leading financial firm on maximizing your income in retirement. And if you call right now, as a bonus, we'll throw in a free annuity rate report. Don't miss out on this opportunity because supplies are limited. Both books are yours free, just for calling Annuity General today.
Call 800-899-6246.
Attention homeowners. Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Is the bank threatening to take your home? Is your home worth less than you owe? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need to call this number right now.
Call 800-714-8615.
Welcome back, everyone. So J.D. Vance made the media circuit this weekend, and he's getting a big round of applause from all of us, who basically is saying that this guy gave a master class in how to deal with a biased mainstream media. I want you to watch this interaction between J.D. Vance and Dana Bash.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator, this happened after you and President Trump were on the debate stage, said that cats and dogs were being eaten.
You asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it.
That's how you do it. And he did a great job doing it. Then he went on with Margaret Brennan, and this is what she had to say with their interaction together.
You are now saying no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on income from Social Security. All of that would wipe out a big chunk of the tax base. Do you really think that fiscally conservative Republicans in Congress are going to vote for this?
Well, I think obviously Republicans believe American workers should keep more of their own money. And yes, I think that if we actually balance this out by penalizing some of these companies for manufacturing overseas, I do think that we can get this to balance out in the right way, Margaret, where we're not blowing a hole in the deficit. We're giving workers more of their money. But to your point, we're actually making it easier to make things in the United States of America.
Why does she think we can't get that passed? When we take over the House and we take over the Senate, a proposal that's wildly popular will most certainly get passed through. It'll be great when it does. Way to go, J.D. Vance. He's doing a great job. I still feel really good about November coming up. All right, folks, here's what I don't feel great about when the IRS calls you. Are you overwhelmed with back taxes, struggling with unfiled returns? Well, the IRS has stepped up enforcement since the end of COVID relief programs, issuing many of pay-up notices, millions of them since 2024. If you're worried about IRS collection tactics, there is no need to face them alone. Tax Network USA can help. Tax Network USA is the nation's premier tax relief firm with a history of negotiating over $1 billion in tax relief for clients. So even if you're behind on your taxes due to missing personal or business records, Tax Network USA can guide you through the process of catching up. Contact Tax Network USA for personalized support with your tax issues. To schedule a complimentary consultation, call 1-800-905-8000 or visit tnusa.com. All right, active duty military members, fact check Kamala Harris live during that debate. This is another viral video that has been on the interwebs. We will show you that next.
Ooh, fun.
Yikes. The leaky refrigerator coil card.
Is that bad?
Oh, Dad!
Death?
Of an AC fan motor.
Oh, no.
But your future is bright with an American Home Shield warranty to protect your covered appliances and home systems. Are there bees behind me?
My bees escaped.
Bill, we talked about this. American Home Shield. Sign up today at ahs.com.
Allegiance Flag Supply believes American flags should be made in America.
Our symbol of freedom made outside our borders, that did not sit right.
Join us in our mission to keep the American flag truly American. Don't settle for flags made elsewhere.
Every flag is proudly crafted in the USA with superior materials.
Visit showallegiance.com to order your high-quality, made-in-America flag today. That's showallegiance.com.
Before I would ever give a product to a patient, I tried on myself. So I started taking Super Beets, and I said, wow, Super Beets is a game changer.
It's given me the energy that I want, the blood pressure support that I need.
Circulation, heart health.
You feel like you can get things done.
I really am feeling a difference.
I just love it.
Over 1 million people have put Super Beets blood pressure support supplements to the test. And today, we have over 80,000 5-star ratings and reviews. We're trusted by over 120 pro and college sports teams. Super Beets is the only #1 doctor, pharmacist, and cardiologist recommended beet brand for heart health support.
It helps dilate blood vessels. It helps increase my circulation. It's having a beneficial effect on my heart and my energy. It makes me healthier.
My grandkids say, Grandma, I can't keep up with you. Where do you get your energy from? And I said, Super Beets.
Get a free month supply, plus free shipping and a 90-day money-back guarantee on all bundles, exclusively when you call or visit superbeets.com.
Hey Rev family and War Room Posse, we've got 2 powerhouse events coming your way at the America First Warehouse in New York. First up, on September 13th, it's America First Day. Enjoy a day filled with top-notch entertainment, mouth-watering barbecue, and a special showing of Government Gangsters by War Room Films. Tickets aren't sold at the door, so be sure to register in advance by scanning the QR code on your screen. And if you can't join us in person, you can still tune in live on Real America's Voice. Then, on September 14th, join us for Boot Camp for Boomers, presented by AMAC. This is your chance to learn from special guests like Peter Navarro, John Solomon, Rebecca Weber, and others. Seats are limited, so don't wait. Scan that QR code to secure your spot. You'll dive deep into crucial topics like lawfare, immigration, and how you can make a difference in the upcoming presidential election. 2 days, 2 incredible events. Don't miss out.
Well, folks, in the first debate, Joe Biden said none of our military members had died under his watch. 13 in Afghanistan. Then Kamala Harris declares that we don't have anybody stationed in harm's way right now. What?
And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world. The first time this century. What? But let's understand. So when